We didn't see a lot of meltdowns when President Donald Trump was inaugurated. Of course, there were a few, but it wasn't as many as what I was expecting, especially after kind of what we had seen back in 2017 during his first term. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that President Donald Trump enacted his agenda so quickly and has continued to push that agenda at a very, very rapid pace. I think it has kind of addled a lot of the brains of these people that are infected with TDS. They don't know how to react. They don't have their marching orders. They're not really sure what they should be saying. They don't know what their narrative is. Well, it's been about 3 weeks now since President Donald Trump was inaugurated back in January, and we are starting to see some celebrities speak out, and their TDS is showing. Case in point is Rosemary's Baby actress here, Mia Farrow. She says she's all in for the revolution after theorizing Donald Trump will start a world war. That's right. Mia Farrow says she's in for the revolution and then claims it's Donald Trump who's going to start a world war. You literally cannot make this stuff up. I mean, the TDS is really strong with her right here. So she posted this, I don't know, 2 days ago. She wrote this on Blue Sky. Of course, it's on Blue Sky. I need to lighten up. It's way too dark. I'm all in for the revolution. There you go. I'm all in for the revolution. Obviously, I think it's safe to assume that she's talking about revolting against the United States of America and President Donald Trump's administration that was duly elected when he dominated the Electoral College. In fact, he won the popular vote as well. Over 77 million Americans voted for him in 2024. Nevertheless, she goes on and says, I want a self-driving car. I want a car that can go sideways just for parallel parking. I think they already have that stuff. I remember going to an all-Ford Nationals up in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Ford was there. They had a bunch of cars there, and you could get in and test drive some of them. And one of them had this parallel parking that you could literally, it did it itself. You just like push the button. It used all of its cameras, and it parallel parked. And that was half a decade ago, maybe even more. It was a while ago. It wasn't recent. So that technology is already there. I don't know what she's talking about here. Self-driving cars, they've been around a little bit for a while. Obviously, I do not want a self-driving car. I think all the car tech, I don't really like it. I've heard a lot of horror stories, people getting locked in their cars and stuff like that, remotely hacked. I'm not interested in that. Just give me my power windows and I'm okay, right? Power windows. I even still have like a CD player and stuff like that. I'm old school with my vehicles, so I'm totally fine without a lot of that technology. Anyways, that aside, she goes on and says, I used to want a flying car, but obviously not anymore. And then she says, I thought cars and condoms would be much better by now. I have no clue what she's even talking about now. Just bizarre, absurd comment here. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. But anyway, she says she's all in for the revolution. And if you actually look at her feed, she's just constantly posting about the Trump administration, reposting, etc. So that's clearly what she's talking about here. And it's sad. She's just subjecting herself to a bunch of propaganda. And it's really kind of affected her mind, so much so that she's living in a delusion because she's posting this stuff just a couple days earlier, February 1st, beginning of the month. People find comfort in the belief that Trump and his motley band of toadies will be gone in 4 years, but I fear he won't leave. Well, why do you fear that? I mean, he left previously, right? When they installed Joe Biden in 2021, he left. So why would he not leave? Why would he just decide to stay this time? What's the difference? I fear he will try to change the Constitution or ignore it, or start a war maybe with China in the belief that wartime will grant him a third term. He didn't start a war with China last time. Why would he start one now? I mean, these people don't use logic. They don't use reason. They are just absolutely infected by TDS. They don't use their brains. They've shut them off in many cases, and they just believe what the TV screen is telling them. It's really, really sad. She goes on and says, now, she doubles down just a day later and says, now is the time to defend our democracy. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean a revolution? Because you said just a couple days after that, I'm all in for the revolution. And is revolting against a duly elected president defending a democracy? Again, don't use their brains. They don't use their brains. Don't use logic. Don't use reason. Anyway, she goes on and says, it's hard to resuscitate a democracy once it fails. Also, I don't believe he will leave after 4 years. Read Project 2025. My own hunch is that there will be a war with China, and he will cite wartime to legitimize another term. So again, doubling down on this absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Again, he left in 2021. He didn't start a war with China in his first term when he was president for 4 years. He didn't start a war, and then he left. Why would he all of a sudden do something completely different than what he did last time? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And then she also said this. She says, it feels like a coup. Feels like a coup. Well, the coup already happened, right? Where the Trump administration is actually discovering all this stuff. You're following any of the USAID stuff and how the government was literally funding propaganda to target us, to brainwash us into buying into all this nonsense that Mia Farrow is now spouting. Lots of different NGOs, other organizations, they were doing it to other foreign countries as well. And it's just complete and utter nonsense. And it has literally destroyed people's minds. And I think we're seeing it right here with Mia Farrow, where she's thinking that Donald Trump is going to start a war with China and he's going to stay in office after his term is over, when he didn't do any of that previously. It just makes no sense. Does not compute. And it's sad. It's absolutely sad, because it's not just Mia Farrow. Obviously, there's lots of other people that think just like this. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have been subjected to government propaganda, and it has been extraordinarily effective. And President Donald Trump and his administration are rooting it out and eradicating it, as they should, because this stuff is evil and it needs to be stamped out. It needs to be removed. It needs to be totally and utterly destroyed. And so I'm glad that he is doing that. But this is what we're dealing with. The celebrities are back at it. I expect we'll see more and more of them making inane comments like this moving forward as the Trump administration continues to enact its agenda, and they try to create some kind of narrative to oppose him. And so we'll start seeing these celebrities kind of figuring out what that narrative is going to be and then following it. And I bet Mark Hamill will be right on board very quickly as well. But this is what Mia Farrow's doing, and it's just really, really sad. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.